Yes. So that's going on the website, so that's why I'm hoping, we'll see what she writes.
Okay.
Because I was hoping. to
Minimum
write
is about that. Or, coding paper.
And that probably would make sense, but like, since we want to talk the story of kind of, the original design and then what changed for this and then the second things.
Yep.
That's where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of look back and think, you don't want to be very bad tidings.
I mean, I'll mention some of the words that. Okay, yeah, topic. About all of them.
Can we do?
That's okay, don't be worried.
House meeting,
Yeah.
We're running.
have some fun on the agenda instead of what's usually there. Right.
Love it.
Sorry, couldn't avoid a little bit of. What a comedic sarcasm.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful thing. And your sarcasm. Hey, sir.
Hi, Harry.
Hey, yourself?
Time no see.
Yeah. Browser and connect. We're gonna start in.
So.
This place is full because of me.
There you go.
I know. I know. It's a good feeling, Jacob.
Hey. Partners.
Ready to roll and move fast today.
Do the 10-minute thing to get online, okay. Let's see how it works this time. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's.
Yeah,
Cody, you ready? Okay. Good afternoon and happy new year to Orono. This is our first town council meeting, the new year. So welcome everybody. And it's good to see so many folks in attendance this evening. We usually meet for 2 or 3 hours. We'll be happy to have you here till the end. We'll just move your resolution to the back of the meeting and. No, I know. All right, we'll start with that's the first of many jokes for tonight. I've been missing you guys. So we'll start with roll call. We have Councilor Larway, Councilor Hardaway, Hardison. I even written it down. I know. Marks, Councilor Demerit, Councilor Powers, Councilor Baker, and Councilor Quinn in attendance. Agenda review, moving on to the second item, is our opportunity to look back through things that have been assigned to committees and post it for our own institutional memory and for the public. We have a chance we don't have any tabled items, and I would ask if there are any items on tonight's agenda that require review or clarifications from a member of the council.
Is this where I ask about the polling? I'd like to.
No, we do that at
okay.
the top of the consent. Yep. First item of action for us is approval of minutes for December 15th, 2025. Could I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Okay, any changes, questions? Yep. All those in favor of approving the minutes? Yep, that is unanimous. Public comment. Public comment is an opportunity in our meetings for anyone who has an issue that is not on our agenda to come speak with the town council and I suppose the town of Orono. We ask that if someone has an item that is coming up later in the agenda, that they join us during that discussion topic, and we recognize and welcome members of the public to join us then. So, and with that noted, the manager is going to have an update later in the meeting on Orono Landing. People would be able to. We'd ask if you have something. It may make sense if you've got something in that space to come forward now, as opposed to waiting, because that's towards the end of the meeting. But if you want to join us for that, yeah, please do. You coming up? if you have something you want the whole council to hear, or if you're just here for the managers, but if you do, I would ask you to come up to the podium, make sure the light is on, and introduce yourself.
Is the green light on your microphone on? Just helps everybody out.
there we
Hear you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've
You can
lived,
just tell us your name too.
my name's Doran Pinkham. I've lived there since, I think, 2013, 2012, December. I'm getting old now, so time meshes. Um, I remember when I got that, when I bought, part of the reason why I bought it was because I was told it was a right of way there to use. It seemed great because I didn't have to pay the waterfront taxes, but still get some waterfront rights. And then I think about a year or two after I bought it, Mr. Baker, I got a letter saying that Mr. Baker, Michael Baker deeded that area from himself to himself under the guise nobody used it, which to me doesn't sound right. My wife did some research, and he had that under notarized that he was the only one that used that area for the time, which one of your council members' brother-in-law ice fishes and has been using that with me for the past 13 years. So I just want some clarification. This has been an issue for a while, and it keeps getting kicked down the road, and it just, I don't want to be doing anything I'm not supposed to be doing, but at the same time, I've been told it's a right of way. That's why I bought my house, and I just want to snowmobile down, just a path right down there. That's
Sure.
all I want.
So we're gonna get an update from the manager in terms of where they are later in the meeting, but, and you're certainly free to stay for that. And then we have got a public comment in the back end of the meeting if you want to join us again, or if you have a question during the manager's comment, we'd be welcome you to that too, but.
I also wanted to extend an olive branch to the people. If you want to park on I don't know if that's you, miss, I think it is. If you want to park on my driveway or my lawn, by all means, you are more than welcome to park there. Just so, all I ask is can we just get a snowmobile past there? Because sometimes on a whim, I like to go down. I have a 5-year-old, so I can't really plan. Whenever I get a hunch, boom, I like to go for a ride, hit the lake.
Okay, so we're going to talk some more, and if anyone else wants to speak on this topic, now you can, but we're going to talk more about it in the manager's report later in the agenda. There should be copies of the agenda on the table if people need it to see where we are. So is there any other matters for public comment? Okay, thank you. And thanks for joining us, and we'll learn more in a bit. Next up on our agenda is presentations and discussion items. And the first item up is, I was kidding before, a resolution recognizing the University of Maine women's cross country team. Councilor Baker?
Perfect. No, thank you. Yes, thank you all for being here. It's a huge accomplishment what you did. I often see you all running at all hours of the day, distances that I can't even fathom driving, and you're running them. So I think that's great. So we put together a resolution recognizing you that, we'll then give to you. So, it's a resolution by the Orono Town Council honoring the 2025 University of Maine women's cross country team. Whereas the University of Maine Black Bear women's cross country team demonstrated extraordinary talent, relentless dedication, and cohesive teamwork throughout the 2025 season. And whereas the team achieved a historic victory by clinching the America East Conference Championship title on October 31st, 2025. And whereas this is the first time this feat has been achieved by the team in the University of Maine history, whereas the team had 4 runners placed in the top 11 finishers, edging out the second place team by 2 points. And whereas Coach Adam Ward was also recognized as the American East Women's Cross Country Coach of the Year, and whereas the University of Maine has been an integral part of the town of Orono since its founding in 1865. It's the only NCAA Division I athletic program in the state of Maine, and its students are celebrated members of the Orono community. So, therefore, be it resolved by the Orono Town Council that the town of Orono officially recognizes and congratulates the 2025 University of Maine Black Bear women's cross country team.
So we got to vote on it.
Oh, we got to vote on it.
Yeah.
Okay, don't come up yet. We've got to vote on it.
So-
So moved.
Let's say it sounds like Council Baker maybe motioned it.
Second then.
Second, moved in second. This is an regular order, and this is the first order of the 2026 for the Orono Town Council. We always ask if there's any, on an action item, is there any public comment? Seeing none, any discussion from the council? And all those in favor? That's unanimous. Now I suppose.
All right, now,
Tony.
do you all want to
Yeah.
join us for a picture?
Yeah. Should we stay back
Maybe
here?
we should stay back.
Yeah,
here.
probably, yes.
They can all go in the front.
So here, coach, if you want to hold this.
Jacob, why don't you do the presentation and we'll stay
Yeah,
back.
okay. Yeah, we have you guys squat down and.
I'm fine. Oh, you guys are, you
All right, good.
guys are all that matters.
All
We're
right.
good. We're good.
Guys, you ready? Thank you. all.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, thanks for coming in. We'll see you next year.
Yep.
Right? Is that kind of, yeah?
You're welcome to stay. It's only about another 3 hours.
Hey, thank you, that's amazing. Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Way to be fast for long periods of time. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Kind of nervous in front of a big crowd right there now. It's kind of, all right. Next up is we're going to have a discussion, and we are going to move kind of fast tonight. We've got a longish discussion at the end of the executive session later today. So we're going to start next with the discussion of the library capital project. Hey, Lori.
Hi there. Lori Carpenter, Library Director. So we have a bit of an update today. What you have in your packet is the original campaign brochure, as well as the insert for the design update, as well as the 10th anniversary brochure. I know that seems a little odd, but it'll make sense in a minute. So I've also put some copies on the table for public if you'd like them. And just to let everyone know, all updates are available on the foundation's website as we make updates. So in preparing for this meeting with Clint and James, we decided that it was probably a good time to give a little bit of a historical update or some background. So in this 10th anniversary brochure on the 3rd page, there is a timeline that we created. And it started back in 1892. I promise it won't be really long. Started in 1892 when the Orono Christian Temperance Union established the library. And
Can
it
you
was
move a little
in
closer to the microphone
Sure.
because I get air
Was it
flowing
okay?
behind. Yep.
the fan.
Thank you.
So it started in 1892 when the library was established by the Orono Christian Temperance Union, and it was housed in the old town hall. A few years later, the town then declined a Carnegie building that was offered at the turn of the century, thinking that I don't know what they were thinking, but perhaps because the university had a Carnegie library that we did not need one. So the library's been in many different buildings over the years. And in the early 1960s, it was decided to combine or house the public library and the school library in the same building. So the public library, as a temporary situation, moved into the high school. It served two purposes, one for space for the public library and two for accreditation for the high school library. So that was a temporary situation that lasted over 40 years. And it worked out okay as long as the hours were different. So it used to be that the school was there during school hours, then the public library came in after. As community use increased, then we started overlapping hours a bit more. So hours, collection, all things led to the need for more space. So it was 1996, 30 years ago, that there was a library committee formed of citizens to study the issue of should the public library move out of the school library. And at that time, there was a group of citizens brought together, there were 21 of them, to study this idea. Half of the group was in favor of moving out and the other half was in favor of staying with the school. And after studying it to a person, they decided it was worth moving out, both for the public library as well as the school. Both libraries were in need of more space. So in 1996, there was a needs assessment done, and it was discovered that we needed 12,000 square feet for our community. And then in 1997, there was a financial feasibility study done, and it was found that we could not raise enough money to do 12,000 square feet. So it was decided to do 6,000 square feet with the promise that it would be expanded in the future to the 12,000 that was needed. Another interesting fact was after the foundation was established in 2002, we then needed a site for the library. We did not have 39 Pine Street at the time, and 24 sites in this town were investigated. Not in depth, because then Dana DeVoe, who was the president of the foundation at the time, came forward with the idea of buying the 2 houses that were sitting on the site that we now use for the public library. So the property seemed to fit. It was close to downtown, within walking distance for the kids, which was very important. And it seemed to have plenty of space. So at that point, the foundation and the town made a commitment to expand the library as soon as it was feasible. So now we're here. As of January of 2020, we started working on this project. So it has been 6 years since we have been working. So that is a little bit of a historical update. Hopefully I've hit all the high points and not taken too long. And James has got information about where we're going or where we've been.
Thank you. I'm James Jackson Sanborn, resident of Orono and president of the Orono Library Foundation. Laurie brought us up to the current campaign and where we stand now. And so in 2020, the members of the Library Foundation visited a number of libraries to look at how space was being used at libraries across the state. We took information from that and from several focus groups that we performed and put together a community survey and did some more focus groups to kind of come up with what we identified as needs. The identified needs were additional group and community meeting areas and presentation space, children's area expansion, area for our teens that can be their actual area, additional space for materials and collections, and last but definitely not least, additional staff office and workspace. Interestingly, most of those were the items that kind of got cut from the original ideas back when the current building was built. So without going into all of the details that some of you are familiar with, we did work with Haley Ward as an architect's firm to develop plans. Those plans are some that I believe we might have shared with earlier iterations of this town council before. And if you look at the Achieving the Vision campaign brochure, which you should have, and we chose the name Achieving the Vision because we wanted to achieve the vision that had been placed before the community back before our current building was built. Those plans were developed to meet the needs that we had identified for the community. It expanded the footprint of the library to somewhere around 12,500 to 13,000 square feet. And then we continued to work with our architects and with a third-party estimator and with the foundation, and identified that the plans were good, but what they really did not do is contain the cost as much as we thought we needed to. And we also identified that there was a lot more renovation going on with these plans rather than expansion. And so we went back to the drawing board with a couple goals, cost containment, renovation or expansion rather than renovation, being able to continue to use more of the existing footprint. And you'll see the results of that spelled out. I don't have the color copy, but you all have a color copy of that letter with new floor plans that do that hit all of the existing previous needs that we had looked at, as well as providing us some really great benefits. Again, more expansion, less renovation, less impact on the existing library footprint. One of the things that meant was that we could actually do, and we will plan to be doing, our expansion with less disruption to the services at the actual physical library. We don't see that we would need to close and move with these new plans, which we would have had to have done with the other plans. And again, less landfill, less all of that for disruption. We have been working diligently on the Achieving the Vision campaign. The total goal for that campaign was $8.6 million. We have a total raised of, and this was at the end of last year, and we've had more come in at the very end of last year and this month, but we have raised approximately 7.4 million of that 8.6. That comprises 3.6 from the USDA grant that we've talked about here before, 2.6 from the town pledge, and then an additional 1.2 to 1.3 of privately raised funds. And we have about 1.25 million still to go during our major donor phase that we're still part of. The issue that we are facing right now, though, is that as part of our due diligence, we have identified issues with the soils and the site that have been identified since that insert was built. And so we're hoping to continue to use the plans and the ideas behind that, but there will be some moving around of what we're doing and how we're going to have to address that. That's not necessarily ideal, but we have issues with the site. So
So these will be, you anticipate some changes to the fall 2025 insert?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you do go online, you'll see the Achieving the Vision campaign brochure that is downloadable, actually has the new, the insert replacing the original designs along with my message.
So
that
I've
was in
been,
that.
yep, and I've been asked to do a little bit here on the challenges. And, as your new manager, and it's been 18 months, but I am new. And as you can see, the history of achieving this vision definitely predates my start as your manager. So I've got a chance to learn and listen throughout this. I've been serving as the town's representative. You've had some changeover at Public Works. So I've been the project lead on the staff side to work with the library director. So when it comes up, we say the challenges, and I did some thinking on this. It's really one challenge. It's the site. It breaks into probably 3 to 4 parts. Number one is the soils. There are some problems with the soils. There's a lot of fill in the back side of this parcel and even towards the front, which make it unstable for holding a building of this significant of investment. The other one's the elevations, which is the slopes and grades going as far back as there is an gully, ravine, canyon. It depends on who you speak to. I would call it a ravine. That's been my choice, but there is a very big sloping area in the behind that we were coming close to with the desire we have. And then the last piece is the village green. A self-imposed constraint that the foundation and the town's been trying to do as little to impact as possible. It was a nice investment. We have some great donors that contributed. What's resulted is that we're running into we've tied our own hands in a lot of different ways. A 6,000 square foot library is a great investment to the town. We want to do an expansion to it and achieve the final vision that is 30 years overdue, for lack of a better term. And as we're doing this, we're going to have to make some sacrifices. So I know James is going to talk to you a little bit more, but with what's happening with the fundraising, the donors, making sure we're transparent, sharing well with the community, and time constraints of a council meeting. I think James is going to talk to you about asking for a workshop where we could actually invite in a lot of people, build some better understanding, continue the vision, and maybe begin to lead off, whereas they're wrapping up the final major giving phase, and we'll hopefully be entering the public phase. Thank you. I always get that one wrong. That is scheduled for late spring of this year, but I think it's a nice segue, and I'll let him kind of talk to you a little bit about his suggestion. We have some dates in mind, or a date in mind that we thought was best.
Yeah, so given that we are still working with the engineers and the architects to kind of come up with the best solution there, knowing that that best solution may have impacts that we need to try to mitigate or work around, we think that we were hoping for was some more time to continue that work, and then to put on the schedule for the town. March 2nd was a date that we identified for a workshop where we could bring people in to the for a town council workshop to share where we are, a little bit more of the history, where our plans are, what some of our current best thinking of options are. It won't serve as a kickoff to a public campaign, but it will start to raise awareness beyond what is already out there around the campaign. But so we were thinking that March 2nd might be a good time to do that, given the calendar that the town has.
Thank you. Are there any questions is that complete the formal part of the presentation?
Yeah.
Are there any questions from members of council?
I just wanted to know, you might have said this and I might have missed it. What is the date by which you're hoping to have finished the fundraising?
So we're hoping to open the public phase of the campaign in the spring, and that we expect would be running through the summer. Our goal would be to have the full campaign done near the end of the summer or into the early fall.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
My
I've got-
fundraising consultant may not be thrilled with me I don't know, but that's my understanding of what the timeline is. So there may
we
be.
do like
we'll have some
transparency, but we understand that fundraising consultants like a little secrecy sometimes for big splashy type things. So anything from anybody? Yeah, Jacob?
Just the thought, and I'll leave it up to Lori and you, James, and Clint. But instead of having the workshop here on the 2nd or whenever, have you considered doing something at the next community potluck, since those seem to draw a lot more people than these types of settings?
I'd be open to that. I don't know if you have some thoughts on that, Lori?
Lori and I had actually been talking about trying to schedule something out for the spring.
So the idea right now is to wait until May to do a potluck, and hopefully that's when we're kicking off the public phase.
I do.
And I think that it might be important too, to have the opportunity for the public to speak. If somebody has a strong opinion one way or the other, or just an opinion about the site or whatever, I think it's important to have this setting for people to gather and be able to express an opinion.
I love the potluck venue for a chance to kind of rub elbows with people and kind of the informalness of it, but it doesn't lend itself to the public engagement that we tried that before. We've tried, like, can we have a meeting? We're working on the festival day stuff, can we have a meeting down at Marsh Island? Well, it's not really open to everybody if you have it somewhere else. So we're just not a setup for that. But I like the idea of the March 2nd workshop, and unless anybody has a concern with that. How does, later in our meeting, we're talking about bonding, and I'm expecting we'll, sort of a sequence. I mean, we're not going to lock anybody into, at this hour on this day in this month, we're going to be done with the bond process. But I assume that I want to make sure that we're thinking about to be a tremendous amount of work has gone into this, and a lot of people are really supportive and excited about the project. And I want to make sure that I think it's important that the work we do as a town to get our $2.6 million, 2.6 million ducks in a row aligns really well with what you're going to do with the public phase of the campaign. We just want to be really thinking that through in terms of making that timeline make sense and showing momentum for the project and the work you'll be doing to reach out to people and look for support. So So we'll just be thinking about that as we do but we're certainly partners, our work to get the bond put together and the work that goes on with the foundation to raise the money are need to be hand in hand, I think, so.
Yeah, thank you. And I
Yeah.
do want to just, I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the council for the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you for the support of the libraries. We have a couple members of the foundation in attendance. Jacob Baker is on the foundation. David Griffin is on the foundation. So we have that, and we have some also great donors from the community as well. So thanks to the donors as well.
Counselor
including
Marks had a question.
Juan,
Jumped
who
on your
also
website, looks like.
that.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look. I just wanted to be sure I understood that in it, beyond this insert we have, there's an even more updated plan if we get on the website. That
No, right now on the website is this.
Is this.
We don't have anything that we're not putting stuff on the website that we're putting it up as we get close to feeling like it's
Okay.
decided more. So we're still workshopping.
Okay, so there isn't a plan yet that would show how to adjust for the soil.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Are dogs allowed at the library? Because I don't think mine would be. Mine would fill up that whole couch. So I'm just kind of.
I believe the dogs are allowed to come in and out, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Happy
But
to
there
see
are
it's
some treats there. There are some treats at the library for dogs.
happy to see it's licensed and has its identification tag. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Yep. Good stuff. Okay, next up is our discussion C on, and I apologize, I'm having a lifesaver that our fire chief gave us before the start of the meeting. I like that your favorite candy is a lifesaver, by the way. It feels like a good, a good fit for someone in your line of work. We're going to talk about warming areas. Clint, do you want to walk us through the memo and?
Yep. Again, it's been in the packet. I'm not going to walk too far through the memo. This all kind of spurred about because we've had some updates on what was going on, and the specific request was, what could we do to create or define and have more definitive warming areas? It ended up being 5 pages of information. So for that, I apologize. But sometimes what seems simple can grow on you really quickly when we got investigating. And again, I fact checked a lot of this afterwards with some of the agencies involved, and this is fairly intricate. The piece that's really not there is I did reach out to some of our neighbors within the managers and town offices and city departments. We usually collaborate quite well, and we actually always do. But sometimes people are busy and you don't get answers as quickly. I did not hear back from everyone, but I could say that there are, from what I could tell, there are no town operated or owned warming areas in the greater Bangor area at all. So what's going on is that they tend to fund them for nonprofits that run them in the area and do them that way. And so to summarize what we found out, it's not a place to go get warm when it's cold. Sounds like a warming shelter. Under state law, it's defined. There's rules, there's steps, there's guidelines of best practices. If they stay there overnight, that is not a warming shelter. That's a homeless shelter. That because it gets into a place where people can go and stay, and you get into needing food and bathrooms. Facilities change greatly. In fact, they need to have showers or a place for the people to bathe. So, and that's all just because it's overnight. So kind of where I'm taking this from is if this needs to go further, I think this is a council committee referral issue that you got to figure out what committee should dig into this deeper and figure out what it is you want. And then we can figure out the costs, because this is becoming something that if we're going to invest heavily. The one thing, and I've debated how to say this as directly as I can, but I will tell you with the information you've learned since last month, what we've heard from police, fire, general assistance, and myself acting as your manager, we will do everything and are doing more than we can to assure you no one will suffer from the impacts of a cold winter, nor will they freeze to death. I cannot guarantee that would never happen because I cannot guarantee people will accept our services and our offerings, but I will tell you, we will go far beyond what it would be typical to assure that. We do have places where we bring people in to be warm, primarily at the public safety building. We will continue to do that, but it will be case by case, and we will do what's appropriate. We are not going to overextend to overnight stays, nor are we going to invite the issue of having staffing, because that's one of the key things that you'll see is that if you were going to have an area designated, you should have staffing. The other piece is this does not affect at any point should the council, state of Maine, county declare a state of emergency. So if at any point we do that, we can then take in some additional costs. If it's not declared by the state of Maine, then the Maine Emergency Management Agency will not give funding to support it. But that doesn't mean as a council, you couldn't direct me to put together an emergency warming area because you feel the cold weather is of such a nature we need it. I will say one last thought that I did have is that if we were going to continue this and it does get referred to committee, it should be definitely vetted whether an RFP should go out. And we should see if there are other entities in the area that would like to offer a service such as this, if we were willing to provide some level of funding. Because there do seem to be some agencies that I would be aware of right here in the greater Orono area, not just exclusive to our town, but in this area, that might have the ability to do that in a way that would be complementary to the town and to that nonprofit. But again, that's just speculative. We'd want to put out an RFP and see if there's others that are interested and kind of talk to them. But that's as far as sorry again for all the information. But that's what we found out. I know there's a lot. You probably have a ton of questions and I'll do my best.
Okay. Are there any questions from members of the council? John?
I just appreciate all the information put together, and I personally feel really good with some of the language you used to that memo around kind of the public safety being empowered. I appreciated that language that like, yeah, this is there and that's a decision. And, you know, from my perspective, feel good that like that meets maybe a current need, and that along with the, resources document that we looked at the last meeting feels like a really good answer to the initial question that came up, that, you know, in terms of like directing folks towards resources that they need. And also, you know, if as we're maybe becoming more connected with this and keeping track of how these services get utilized, and it feels like we're at a limit, that seems like it would be a good time to pursue that, you know, who's doing this really well and how can we support them in that mission. But right now it feels like that's what you all have put together seems really comprehensive and answers that question that was put forth initially.
Yep. Anyone else have? Yeah, good, Sarah.
Yeah, I was pretty much just going to second what John said. I mean, I think I maybe was the person who first put forth the question, and I felt really good about this response, and it didn't feel like too much information. It felt terrific and great and really comprehensive. So thank you to you and the staff on that. And I likewise felt very comfortable with the summary statement about staff and public safety personnel being committed to ensuring that that a warm space is available for during, you know, folks in need during extreme cold, and that police and fire are empowered to act on a case-by-case basis. I felt very confident reading that, and also listening to your statement tonight that there's a commitment to meet the need and that no one is going to die or, you know, lose digits on our watch if we can possibly avoid that. And I agree with John that I feel like from what we heard with this and the list of resources, it appears to me that we have a system in place to meet need at the level it's at right now. And I don't feel the need for a committee or further exploration at this point in time, unless other counselors do. And I feel good that we know what the next steps would need to be if need increased or our public safety staff was telling us that this isn't something that they can meet anymore. So I'm feeling comfortable with where we're at.
Okay. Anyone else? Councilor Hardison.
I third, the amount of information was great, and I appreciated you putting that all together. In speaking with people within town, there is a desire to make sure that there are resources available. But there is also the concern, and I think this is a topic that we should at some point visit, the public camping on public spaces and unauthorized camping on private property. That is a concern, in addition to wanting to make sure that people do have care and resources.
I do I appreciate that. And I know we will have that conversation as well in the future. We felt like this was, given the winter, it was important to get this one in first and kind of understand this. But I do think that that is whenever any counselor asks for a conversation, we're going to get it. We're going to have it. So we'll work that up too. Okay. Anybody else? So thank you to staff, and really appreciate looking into it and Sarah, you in particular for bringing it forward and, sharing a story and a concern. So appreciate that. There's nothing else. We'll move into our public hearing phase of our council meeting. And we'll begin with, public hearing A to consider amendments to the Town of Orono Code of Ordinances, Chapter 38, Vegetation. Is everyone gonna present this one, Clint?
This had been presented in the past. And again, I just looked as I'm going through the agenda, you know, and it's funny, you even look at it afterwards. We should have relinked, you know, because we're not acting on this the same night. Typically, we do act on the same night, but it isn't queued up for that action. So I do apologize. That was on me. This is the changes that is predominantly about the tree board, and that appeals don't go to, they go somewhere now, and it's actually to the town manager. And there's a focus on the manager utilizing a concept that for removing a tree that is not deemed dangerous, the tree board will only do it as if the resident is willing to pay for that removal. If that decision is being appealed, it comes to me, and then I can look at mitigating circumstances. Conversely, if there's a tree that they want removed and the tree board has said no, right? Let me get this right. No, sorry, the other way. There's a tree being removed. The tree board has said, yeah, is removing it. They don't want it removed. That appeal would also come to the town manager's office to review. After that, it would go to the Superior Court. So as long as you got a process. So that's the number one. That was the key component of this section and updates.
Okay. Well, it was a posted public hearing, so is anyone, any member of the public wish to speak on the topic? Okay, then we'll close that public hearing and think we'll have action on it at our next council meeting. Is that the?
Yep. Yeah, Amanda, that's the timing, right? The next agenda. 1 month. Oh, 1 month.
Okay. So there'll be nothing in the process that comes to the council for any of those tree removal questions in the future, right? That's how it's being.
Public item. If a citizen came up and spoke to you there, you could refer it to me, but that would be the only thing I could imagine is public comment. Somebody would come and talk about a tree issue that they'd have.
Okay.
That's all I could imagine, but yep,
Well,
that's the
I have a
plan.
more active imagination than you do when it comes to politics, but I get it. We'll try and follow the rules, but
Agreed.
you know, if enough, you know, political pressure being what it is and, okay. And next up is public hearing. Are we going to do the public hearing B to consider amendments to the Town of Orono Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, Administration, Article V, Finance, Division 2, Purchasing? Is that the same boat?
Yeah, I don't know if Jacob would want to lead off at all, but this has been on the goal since I got here.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a hearing on the changes that were presented last meeting, the meeting before, about different thresholds from which Clint has to come back to council and different approval authorities. It's been vetted and recommended by the finance committee. So this is just the next stage in the process of changing it via ordinance.
And I would just, you know, the biggest changes is some continuity across all spending limits, but again, it's higher thresholds. Sets the minimum at 10,000, sets a category of 10 to 50, 50 to 100, and then 100 plus. And again, the key being, and also we changed also some language on, we don't require bid bonds, but we're not requiring a bonding. We are requiring assurances in future large contracts that they will give us guarantees. And that was a cost savings to the town. But this is coming up, and just so you know, I just for food of thought, I would say there's at least a dozen other municipalities working on this as we speak through the manager's listserv. They've been sharing and passing about many of these ordinances and changes, and ours got shared out, and some positive feedback from other communities that we seem to be headed in a direction others are looking at as well.
Okay. It is a public hearing. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this item? And when it comes before us again in 30 days, right? It'll have the proposed ordinance, the red line there for people to take a look at. And of course, that'll be whenever we have an action item, there's an opportunity for people to join us and be a part of that conversation as well. So when it's posted again with the materials, that'll be an opportunity for people. So that will close that public hearing. And we'll turn to acknowledgements by council members, and we'll start, John, on your end, and we'll work our way right to the left.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to was able to go see the True North's theater's production of Tinkerbell over the weekend, and they are it's a by donation play on campus, and it's a really cool like small production, and they are also in addition to just being by donation, they're supporting the Orono Public Library as in kind of a partnership with their ticket sales this run. So I was excited to see them and excited to see their support of the library and wanted to shout that out.
Council Baker?
Clint, please pass it along. Public Works, especially for what they did on Christmas Day. When I woke up and saw all that snow, I thought, wow, those guys are going to be out plowing while everybody else is with their family. So thank them for the great work that they do.
Yeah, I just
Council Powers.
yeah, it was the Riverwalk lights were spectacular, and I just want to both acknowledge the the private citizens and also the town that puts those up, but also want to acknowledge that's a lot of work to take this stuff down, and I want to thank the town and the private citizens who go about the business in the next few months trying to get all that down. So I appreciate that.
Okay, Councilor Marks?
I'll pass.
Okay. Councilor Hardison?
I just want to thank everyone who came out to the potluck supper. And I also wanted to thank Aaron Lanigan for seeing a need and quietly making sure it got filled.
Okay. Councilor Larway?
Nothing already mentioned.
Yep. I wanted to, I already said thanks for the lifesavers, but I'm also want to be out, the Orono Night Out. I thought staff did a great job with that. I was sitting next to a family who the young kids were the first time seeing the fireworks over in the UCU parking lot. I thought it went really well. It was nice to see so many people, and Meg Marsala running around doing the trolley and everything. So it was a wonderful night, and it was a while ago now, given that we haven't had a meeting for a while. But then we had the tree lighting and all this stuff. It was just a great way to be festive in Orono. So I wanted to thank. I know that was a lot of work, and I appreciate everybody who got contributed to that. Okay, that closes our acknowledgements, and we'll move to consent agenda. This is an opportunity for us to vote in mass, a single action on items with no discussion. Any member of the public or a town councilor, Matt, can request that a item be pulled off the consent agenda and move to an action item for further discussion.
I would like to have order 2602 pulled off in just like a 1 minute or 2 minute like explanation and discussion, because I'm just curious about
Move
it.
that to the top of the action items, if that makes sense. And Amanda will make sure we don't blow by it. Okay. Anything else on the consent agenda? Yep. Could I have a motion to move the consent agenda?
So moved, seconded.
Moved and seconded from the right side of the table. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Excellent. We'll move on now to, what's that? We're going to spend some time, apparently, on order 2602 at the request of Councilor Powers. Clint, can you give us a little background on why we have to post the roads?
I will. So thanks for asking.
Oh, let's move it. Let's move it first. So Matt, you want to
So
move?
moved.
Moved and seconded. Let's have a discussion.
So every municipality in the state of Maine posts their roads every year. It's because heavy vehicles damage your roads through the spring. So we post these. This is the list that they've used with some adaptations each year for roads that need things. But again, it's the ones where we know heavy trucks will go through. And if they don't follow the road postings, it will damage our pavement. So these are put out across the state of Maine. Every municipality buys them. They put them on telephone poles out there. It's one of the few things you're allowed to attach to a telephone pole in the state of Maine for signage. So people that put up your garage sales or your yard sales on those, you're actually really not supposed to do that. Telephone poles are supposed to be left alone, but we are allowed to put these there. Some of the key components, and the one that I always like to share, is that it limits them to 23,000 pounds unless the road's frozen through the dates posted. How to know if it's froze? It's got to be below 32 degrees and you can't see water coming up through the cracks in the road. So a lot of times you can see cold weather. It could be 25 degrees out, but you got high sun on the road and it's starting to thaw and you got water coming up through. You can't have either of those. This gives the authority for me and with the police department to pull people over and cite them for driving on a heavy loads limited posted road, which results in a state fine.
23,000 pounds.
23,000 pounds. is okay. If it's that or under, you're okay.
I'm not gonna hit that with my trailer.
to-
I was just curious.
Yep.
Put the whole cross-country team in your minivan.
Yeah,
Well,
It still wouldn't make it.
It's greater than a commercial plate. You gotta have a commercial plate or greater to have that weight. So
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And Clint, I'm assuming that folks who drive this size loads are well aware and educated by the state about watching for these kinds of signs, correct?
100%. And they can still ask us for permission saying, hey, we know it's not. This is what's going on, and we're authorized to grant them an exemption if it passes a straight face test of Public Works and Police.
So if David's got a big load of groceries going home to Bennett Road, he can, yep.
We can make it work.
Yeah. All right, good. Any other discussion? Any public comment? Okay, all those in favor of item 2602? Excellent, thank you. And that's how the consent agenda works. Nice job. I keep going back and forth. I apologize. Now we're up to action items. And number one on the action item is order 2611, order adopting the town of Orono comprehensive plan. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mitch Stone.
Mitch Stone, Assistant Town Manager. Kind of all been waiting for this day. Since we had the last public hearing, we've received no comments at all regarding this plan. So apparently it has been very well vetted over the multiple public engagement that we've had through the process. So this is the last thing you folks would vote on. And once that gets voted on, it gets sent to the state. And the state has 30 days to respond to us. And at that point, if there are any changes, then the state's looking for, then we would make those at that time. So I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Okay. Any clarifying questions? Okay. Any, I guess two. Is it the comprehensive plan 2024 or should we call it the 2025 plan? Since a lot of we started it in 2024, I think.
So I think it is based on the 2024, even though when
Okay.
it gets adopted.
Okay.
That's the process. Because when you look at the last one we did, it was adopted a bit after
Okay.
the date that's on that. So,
All right.
Yep.
So I just want to make sure no one thinks we're already 2 years behind. No.
I'm less partial, put whatever year you want on it, as long as it's 24, 25, or 26.
Can I ask
You
a
know,
question that follows
Yeah.
up on that? Just, there is some sort of a timeline that the state holds us to about doing this within a certain time frame every 10, 11, something years. So what does that date count from? The date we vote on it, or what ticks that clock?
Mine experience has been as long as you're working on an amended plan, you're fine, and it's the date you adopt through 10 years from that date.
Yeah.
So you'll be setting it up and they approve it. So it's because the language of state is an approved plan, which means they've approved it.
Yep.
So I think the date they approve it gives you 10 years from that date.
So we don't buy ourselves 4 years if we put 2029. Yeah. Any more clarifying questions? And we're going to ask for questions, comments from the public, and then we'll have a discussion if there's any. Okay, no more. Yeah, my piece will come in the discussion. Is there any comments from the public in this action item? And now we'll do discussion. I know we talked about sharing the plan out with our stakeholders and stuff like that. So it's going to be posted on the website, but it's one of our goals. The town council in our municipal goals for the year have finalize and begin the implementation of Orono's new comprehensive plan, prioritizing housing availability and economic development efforts. Progress will be measured through actionable steps and be reported in the council year annual goals report. So those are things that we're going to be working on. I know we've got budget stuff coming up, but this spring and summer we'll be working on that in a report. But we're going to plan to post it. We're going to share it with the university, that kind of stuff. So everyone knows.
Yeah, we do have the state review they say 30 days. I think we probably would wait just to give them the initial first 30 days just to see how it goes, but we're not envisioning any issues. I mean, Isabel's done a great job. I don't think it is compliant with the state guidelines, but they do have a review. That's probably the only thing we'll hold off on is any mass sharing, just in case the state came back and said, we'd like you to change X.
Well, I think it's been phenomenal work, particularly, from the volunteers, the community volunteers and the professional staff that have done so much. People participating in surveys, events and things like that. It's a really good way to get to know Orono, and I appreciate all the good work that's gone into it. I am gonna ask, does anyone have any concerns, I'm gonna ask about changing the date to 2025. Does anybody, I think I'll make a motion if that's okay. Yeah, why don't you ask your question first?
I think that's a great idea. And I just had another question, which is just as far as what you brought up about getting this all out to the public and stakeholders and folks who've been involved in the process. All the ideas you mentioned sound great to me, but I also wanted to know, is there some way that this will be in pamphlet form and easily available at the library, which seems to be the place where most people in town go the most often, again, as far as just getting word out to the community when it's approved, that here it is?
Will be now.
Can I just ask that maybe the motion be that if there is no concern, legal reason why we need to keep it at that way it allows Isabel the opportunity to keep it the same
Sure.
if
Yeah.
that's the, okay.
Tell us if we're wrong, and we're happy to be, so I'll move that. I'll move, that we change the order to adopting the Town of Orono Comprehensive Plan 2025 pending Isabel's okay. Is that the right legal language? Probably not the right legal language, but we get what we're trying to do. Yep. All right. Will someone second that, or am I going to
Second.
leave? All right. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion?
Who's that?
What?
Did she get the second? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, Jacob
Okay.
seconded. He-
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everyone else was leaving me hanging out there.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor of the Demerit Baker motion, amendment? All right, and now we're back to the underlying question. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor of Order 2611 as adopted? And that's unanimous. That's good work. A lot of work. So thank you. Okay, now we're gonna move on to Order 2612, order entering into an agreement with, this is gonna be Drummond Woodson. Is that or we're gonna amend it as we go?
You got to pick one. There's two.
Yep.
Maybe talk briefly before you make the motion, because you're going to have to pick which one it is. Short of it is, Bernstein Shore is the adopted attorneys, along with Roger Huber, which we're going to talk about next. But with Bernstein Shore, they're getting out of the bond counsel, bond attorney game. And they suggested we use, oh my gosh, now I'm going to break, Freddie Flaherty, which is another, Pierce Atwood, sorry, another law firm. And so we went forward, contacted them, they gave us a proposal. In the process to bring this to the council, I'm assuming other attorneys probably watching our agendas. Drummond Woodson saw that it was posted. They have provided services to the school department. They asked if they could be given an opportunity. Since this was going to be on a council agenda, I was like, that's fine. Rather than using the referral, there's no, as you can see with the memo I attached, no major concerns. One company is giving a fixed price quote, which is roughly $18,000. The other one is per hour. I can't tell you exactly how many hours. There is a handout that I gave tonight that we will add to the packets and the agendas that was provided to us today by Joe Cutara of Moores and Cabot. He's our bond advisor. And he kind of laid out in a spreadsheet in the middle, the, I don't know if you'd call it pros and cons, but just a comparison from their perspective. Drummond Woodson focuses on schools. He considered them a little bit on the higher priced, but very good with availability and very good with responsiveness. Pierce Atwood, he felt can be cheaper. That's probably because sometimes on the hourly rate, they are probably more cost effective. I would just caution you, maybe we got to be a little bit concerned that if we are using extensive bond counsel legal advice, it could go up higher, whereas Drummond Woodson's a fixed price. Also very available, very responsive, and and both could handle the work that we were putting in front of them. This is a tough one where I know you're going to ask my opinion, and I'm supposed to let you pick. I've worked with them both. I've probably done a little bit more with Greg Emmett, Drummond Woodson. But again, Bernstein Shore, our current attorney, referred Pierce Atwood to us. I will not be upset with either of them. The only one measurable difference, Drummond Woodson did do the bond issuance with the school department. That may bring certain efficiencies that they're aware of our financial numbers, because the school has to report the municipal numbers when they do bonding, whereas the municipality does not have to report the school numbers. It's just something, but I doubt that's of any significant difference, but that is the only one that I could see between the two.
And we did get this memo dated today from Joe, is it Cutera?
Yep.
And Joe is our bond advisor, and his summation at the end of the one-page memo, is it all in all, Pierce Atwood is my first choice by a broad margin. So.
His opinion.
Yep, his opinion. So, but he looks like he's worked with all of them. Yep. So anybody have any more questions for the manager? And didn't sound like you had a particularly strong. Nope. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna lean on somebody who's has any sort of expertise because I'm like a fish trying to eat licorice here.
This decision, we're in good hands.
You know,
I like your vulnerability, Matt, though. I like you willing to come out and say, yeah. Jacob?
I I've worked on the other side of this, and I agree with Clint. I've worked with both, and both are good in my opinion. So in my mind, the only, kind of, if Joe is recommending Pierce, that's who I would support. But either way, I'm fine.
Feels like a leg to stand on. As opposed to the fish and the licorice thing. You got, you didn't have to say it. You could have said we could have gone, we could have, whatever. I know. I love how you do it. All right.
I would say,
Chair Marks?
yeah, I would say that, I mean, certainly the Pierce Atwood fixed price is a plus, that we know the cost isn't going to go above that. And certainly if that's what our bond advisor is recommending, that makes sense. I do think the school's had a really positive experience with Drummond Woodsum, in particular with the same personnel that was listed. And I will say I appreciated the detailed response and very personalized packet that came from Drummond Woodsum. What came from Pierce Atwood looked like a standard thing that was sent to every town. It didn't even give a specific cost for Orono, given the amount we were bonding out. So I did appreciate the personal level of attention there, but I'm fine with either.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Or are we gonna? Jacob, do you want to run a motion by us?
Yeah, I make a motion that we accept Pierce Atwood as our bond counsel.
Now, do we have to motion? We're going to submit it here. So do we need are we going to amending anything, or are we just putting it in for the first time? Just the first time, right? So the motion, Jacob, is order entering into agreement with, you said Pierce Atwood for bond counsel services. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Yep. Council Marks has a question.
Just before the vote, there was language in all of these about if these proposals, if there was determined to be some kind of conflict of interest, and that at this point, neither firm believed that they had a conflict of interest to represent us in this way. Is it important that we take this vote in such a way that if one of them comes up with a conflict of interest, you can just go with the other one?
That would be.
Okay.
Right. We never know.
We take that as a friendly amendment?
Can I
Or-
amend my motion to what Sarah just said? That if Pierce Atwood has a conflict or otherwise cannot engage with us, then we authorize Drummond Woodson or Drummond. Yeah.
Okay, let's give Amanda a second to write that out, and then we'll. You got it? You want to read it back? What's that? Oh, you don't want to?
Got it.
Okay, she's got it. All right, so we're gonna vote. We're gonna pick, the motion is to pick, to go with Pierce Atwood for bond counsel services, and if they have a conflict, would authorize the town manager to go with Drummond Woodsum. Okay? Is there any comment on from the public before we have this vote? Okay. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thanks for bringing this forward. Order 2613, can I have a motion? Order naming Bernstein Sure as the town of Orono's attorney as of the retirement of Roger Huber.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Clint, do you want to, anything for us here on this?
Yeah, we know. So legally you have to have, we have to give his files from when he's represented us to another attorney. Staff really doesn't have the capacity to go out to a full RFP for this point. It just would be syncing us on the goals and work plan and the time of year. He is be getting done this spring. So we wanted to have someone on record. This will affect more than anything, probably the Board of Appeals and the Planning Board, where he sometimes would attend. And I think what we'll just get used to is if an attorney is needed in those types of situations, we will not be paying Bernstein Sure lawyers' rates to drive here and drive home. We will have them attend via Zoom and represent us. And so and if anything changes that, I'll let you know, but that's the biggest impact I could see, like the Board of Appeals when they meet. It would be an attorney that would be on a conference call. But I do have to run this through Matt Tarasevich, who's the lead counsel we work with at Bernstein Shore, but I'm assuming they will sign someone to us for these appeals board situations. That's a newer, more cost-effective attorney.
Good. Matt's good at what he does.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. All right. Any clarifying questions? Any comments from the public? Okay. We will have, will Matt be, if we move forward with this, will Matt be counsel's primary contact if we have a question
Yes,
as your
for
employer?
confidential.
Yep. Okay.
100%.
Good.
I had one sort of just clarifying question. Just, I know this is something that's been being talked about and worked on at the NECAP Council Policy and Procedures Manual, but just to sort of reiterate, I guess, for council, unless Clint corrects me, that my understanding is that it's council's prerogative at any point to review who our legal representation is, and there'll probably be a recommendation coming from the NECAP committee at some point with a time frame under which we would recommend that council regularly do that, folks are not just appointed kind of in perpetuity, but that it's something we'll cycle back to on some kind of regular schedule.
Yeah.
That's
and that should-
accurate, Clint?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And if the motion isn't clear too, his retirement's a little fluid. It'll be springish, but we won't transfer the files till he feels it's good. And I'll let you know in a manager's update that they've been fully transferred and it's effective now. So it could be April 1st or May 1st. I don't know.
I think just to follow up to on your point, I think it would be important that whenever there's a change in council leadership, that the council leadership team, which are you and I with this council, or at least the chair, make a point of having a conversation. I don't know if I would ask that we consider having that in the manual, just because just having that point of contact, so you know there's somebody there ready to help you if you have questions as the chair of the council, I think would be really helpful. And we'll, work on that for, yep. Okay, good. We've got a motion. We have a second. We've had a discussion. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor of order 2613? That's unanimous. Sorry, I didn't see your, yeah. Yeah, no, it was actually Amanda's perfectly reasonable head that I couldn't see behind. Okay, now we're on to council committee reports. Community Development Committee.
Currently, we are prioritizing the Orono stop survey responses and figuring out how we're going to tackle both the survey responses and how we might prioritize working forward in addressing these community issues.
Finance and Operations Committee.
We have a meeting this month where we are going to review safer data, but for purposes of the council, more importantly, we're also going to discuss the budget binder. And so if any of you have any items that you just need to see in there, please let us know because we will be discussing that at the next finance meeting.
Okay, Nominations, Evaluations, and Council Policies Committee.
We have not met in the month of January. We'll be meeting again in February, so nothing new to report.
Ordinance Review Committee.
Our next meeting is going to be later this week. But Dan, would you like to give an update about what happened at the last meeting in December?
Oh, yeah, we're, I would. Can I punt?
So long ago.
Yeah, no, it was a long time ago and I wasn't prepared to. We've got, Shelley's got materials in front of us for the meeting and I will find them and I will, by the time we get done, I'll do a quick update. And Clint, James left a few minutes ago and we didn't talk about sequencing for bond stuff. And I know that we talked about that before. So I want to come back to you. When we do the manager's report, can we just talk about kind of what your ballpark is on bond stuff just before, so I don't forget?
Sure.
I already forgot once, but so, all right. DEIB, Matt?
We have not met in January, but we do have a table at the why have I just gone blank? The breakfast Martin Luther sorry, breakfast next week. And so we're excited about that. And then we will meet the day after.
Okay, comprehensive plan committee, I guess we can take this one off. Well, I think we can take this off the list, but let's keep,
Yeah.
it's a goal. So it's a council goal that we implement it and things like that. So we'll continue to have that. Now we'll switch back to council chair update, and I'll call on myself. I had a couple, had an idea or a thought. One, I wanted to ask, the MMA elected officials have to do FOIA training, and I thought about forwarding these on to council members, but I figured I'd just bring it up. Is anyone due for FOIA training that needs to, does the manager's office keep track of that, or how do we, because I'm not keeping track of it, but there's a law, it's legally required, right, that every
Yeah,
newly
and I believe
elected.
everybody's done it.
Do you have to do it once or every year? I
One.
thought it was once. Oh,
Once.
Then I'm good.
If you've done it and you're good, you don't have to, like, you got your Fifth Amendment rights or whatever here in the town of Orono, so you don't have to raise your hand and say you're out of compliance. But there are resources from the Maine Municipal Association for, webinars and things like that that can bring you into compliance. So if you're newly elected, you're as innocent as you can possibly be. If you've been elected a couple times and you haven't done the training, let's get on it. But Amanda, John, if you want, I can forward you. I don't know. Do you see it? You're good to go? Good. Planning board stuff, or we already did it? Okay. Oh, great. All right, good. So I wanted to check with that.
While we're on trainings, is there something quick I could add about that? I think everyone got the email that came about the Wabanaki Reach training. That's free and available this week. Understood free? Is
We got
that
staff
correct?
for attending as well.
Perfect. But just to remind counselors that if you haven't done one of the Wabanaki Reach trainings, they're really amazing and incredibly worthwhile. So if you have the time on the 15th, I would definitely suggest to reach out to staff about it.
Okay. Yep. Did want to share, we talked with the town manager about potentially getting some sort of AI bot to sit in on our meetings. And I don't know if that's been discussed any further, but our minutes are not, I think we're careful on our minutes, not to say that they're an exact transcription of the meeting proceedings, but there are platforms that have a very helpful recording bot that you see those sometimes when you're in a Zoom meeting, and Dan Demerit's AI bot is joining the meeting and take transcription of the meeting, and it ends up being a really good source for going back and looking through matters that were considered by the council. So I know we talked about that, and I don't know where we left it, but I wanted to we talked about bringing it up in this meeting. So
Yes, you left it with staff for me to talk a little bit with staff. I have discussed it with staff and we are willing. I think my only suggestion is that, Sarah, I'm sorry, don't shoot me in the delivery of this one. It probably should go in your procedures manual that you're using AI in some
Got it.
way of summary format. And I think we're more than willing to comply. The only thing we're going to want is a disclosure on both. It basically says the minutes are the minutes that you vote on and approve. That's action and vote. The full audio recording is your best medium to go and hear what we actually said. But if you want, in the absence of any of that, here's a summary that we've done using AI to go and do that. And as long as you understand, staff's going to do a cursory review of an AI written document and just post it that way. But I don't want to get this into a situation where we're having to do a lot of additional staff work. Getting away from the more lengthy minutes that Amanda was taking up has been a huge step forward in the manager's office, so that she's not spending at least a day, I would say, every 2 weeks writing up minutes from the council meeting. So I think it works, but I think having a summary is a nice middle step, as long as we know it's not as good as the video, nor as good as the actual minutes themselves.
yeah, and I think what I envision, like, say for instance, we wanted to go back and figure out, as I sit here, next thing I'm going to talk about is the Good Neighbor Committee. And with the platform that I'm familiar with, I could go back in and type in a prompt and say, who is the third counselor now on the Good Neighbor Committee, in addition to Rob and I? And I'd look, and I don't honestly remember if it was Andrea or John.
Mhm.
Is it John? Did we point you to as the third counselor? Yep. So now we got it. And I wouldn't have had to go through the what do I care, right?
Mhm.
But that functionality is really helpful. And it could be a good tool for those of us who, members of the public who want to, I don't know if we can make it available to the public. I don't know that we would, but those of us who, work here and want to track what's going on and what was discussed. But again, that's something we can consider and the procedures. So.
I would say that if we're going to have it, I would like to see it made available to the public. I'm assuming it would actually then tell you, this is the meeting where I found this, right? It would not just say John, it would say in this meeting. And then if someone wanted to read the rest of the details, they could do that.
Yeah.
Right.
The challenge with the really robust platforms, I think, are probably you get a license and you'd have to, the stuff's not free. So it does cost some money for stuff like that. So, but I'm interested to know what staff and the committee would come back with.
Yeah, we're leaning right now to when we switch to Microsoft.
Yeah.
We believe that through our combination of our agreements for Zoom and then with Microsoft Copilot, that we'll be good to go.
Okay, great. And the last thing I wanted, the Good Neighbor Committee, I wanted to share, we were, prior to the holidays, members of the Student Senate leadership talked with us about, we have opportunities to improve the ordinance based on feedback we've gotten from, we had our first meeting in the fall, and then some feedback we've gotten from this humane student government. But the problem we'll run into is timing. The students are coming back, I think, this weekend. And then by the time we get meetings on the books, and if we do, so I just wanted to make folks aware that I'm interested in having some discussions as a member of the council or as a member of that committee with a few students, and with the idea that we'll bring something forward, some sort of something for the committee to consider. And I'd like to be able to sequence the Good Neighbor. We're scheduled to have a meeting in March or April. I'd like to do that on the early side so that we could sequence things. And if we're going to have a change initiative related to the Good Neighbor, the disorderly activities ordinance changes we've made, we've all kind of agreed, look, we're not going to find somebody $1 million. And the doubling of the doubling of the doubling gets to be $1 million after like the 13th incident. So I just wanted to share, my hope is that we can sequence conversations with student leaders and then the Good Neighbor Committee early enough so that we can act before students leave at the end of the spring semester. And I would welcome people's thoughts or feedback on that.
So I'm fine with that. So are you suggesting, though, that any modification to the ordinance would go through the rapid approval, whatever? Because when we passed it, we used a quickened approval process to get it in place by, September. Are you suggesting this?
I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
if we act in May, if we act before students leave at our first meeting in May or the end of April, the changes, it's changes would be to the good and it'd be fine as long as they're in place by the fall. So, I mean, I don't think there's but I would like to have, if, 35 students want to come talk to us about the ordinance, I'd like to be able to do it in April or May, not in June or July. So,
Yeah, as long as we're following our normal procedure, that's fine.
but, in citizenship, and this is one of the challenges we have as a university town, college town, that I think we've got a real strong commitment to work better with students, and the university students are our voters and our residents. It's that 3 months of the year when people who are our residents aren't in town. I mean, citizenship's a year-round business, and it's incumbent upon us to think about how do we engage, or I don't want to shut things down for the summer in terms of our ability to do things that impact the whole community. So we got to be careful we don't set that precedent, but at the same time, where we can, I think it makes sense to listen and hear from students who want to be involved in the decisions we make in Orono and being as accommodating as we can. Okay, any thoughts on that? I just wanted to throw that out. All right, so back to the ordinance review quickly. Shelley's got a review of schedule of Orono's. A big topic for us this week is going to be the 2026 review schedule for Orono ordinances, and we're going to post stuff on the website so that people get a sense of where things are and how long it'll be for the ordinance review committee. And for those who following along but need a reminder, the ordinance review committee is kind of a staff-led review of all of our ordinances in a 5-year timeline. So we'll have a good, so that everything's refreshed regularly and up to date. Everything gets a good, solid, comprehensive look in a sequence so that everything's up to date with state changes in state policy or changes in how, practices and stuff like that. So
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, and thank you for chairing the meeting in my absence. This December, I will be there for this Thursday.
and I will not. So I owe Shelley some input before that. All right, that completes council committee reports. And now we'll turn to the town manager's report.
Thank you. So the first request is that some councilors had asked for an update with Crossland Hall, what's going on with the timeline. There will be an appeals board meeting this Wednesday, 6 o'clock right here. And I'll talk about that in a second. In addition to that, it's my understanding that the University of Maine is going to have a Board of Trustees conversation on this as well later this month. So the reality here of a Board of Appeals, a group has come forward and appealed the decision of the code officer to grant the permit to tear down Crossland Hall. In managing expectations, our attorneys communicated with them. The first thing this Board of Appeals will need to do is determine if the people that asked for the appeal have standing. And that's going to be tricky because you're supposed to be in a butter. And it's our understanding these are more being filed. I mean, and there is a petition, but you have even non-residents of Orono signing in on this. So again, there's the Board of Appeals, that will be the first step. If they should find that there is standing, which again, I have no.
And this is for the demolition permit.
This is for the demolition permit.
Yep.
The appeals board is only allowed to review that the code officer made a reversible error, meaning that the permits and ordinances were not done the way, they didn't follow the ordinance the way they were written. I will say we watched this very carefully. The best analogy I can have is that, when you have a situation with neighbors that own homes next to each other, if one wants to have the house torn down, we would issue the demolition permit. If the neighbor didn't want it torn down, they could appeal it and we will have an appeals meeting, but that doesn't necessarily mean the appeals board is going to grant that request. This is truly coming into a situation where owners of land are allowed to tear down buildings. It has been brought up quite a bit about the situation at Crossland Hall, that farm was included when the farm was donated to them, and there's some revisionary interests. That's a separate argument. We've asked for more legal opinions in the town level, and I said, if somebody wanted to provide it, please love to have that and review it. But our initial, and again, glance with the town's attorney just is, no, that's not what that's referring to. That's saying that is there. And proof of that is that house has been moved in the past. So tearing it down versus moving it, that is not affecting the educational operation of the University of Maine. So, but again, that's just a cursory, no firm legal opinions, nor is there a legal opinion saying what they're asserting should be enforced. We need more than what we have right now. So that's the Crossland Hall update.
Yep. So you did, on Crossland Hall, and the reason people know that someone applied for demolition permits, because you've been keeping people informed.
And they're
Stakeholders-
posted online.
Yep.
Yep, they're issued as soon as they do it. And abutters would be notified and,
Yep.
but we've been notifying interested parties on this
Yeah,
throughout.
I appreciate that. I think that's important. Councilor Marks?
Yeah, and likewise, what Clint just said, I think it's important to make sure it was extra clear because I've had questions about it, which as I understand it is our attorney's preliminary look at what we've been sent about the fact that the town deeded the property under certain conditions.
Yep.
We don't see anything which would say that tearing down the building violates those conditions on a quick look. And if other people feel that it does, what the town would need to see would be a written legal opinion stating why.
From an
they
attorney
think-
on
right,
record that
from
our
an
attorney
attorney
could
on
communicate.
record.
Yeah, we would communicate with.
And I think that's important because I've had several people ask. Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay.
So, good.
Yeah, next.
So next is Orono Landing Road. Thank you for speaking tonight. I've had some conversations with 5 residents in that area, all at separate parcels, but again, it's expressing very different interests. This goes back to 1903. So I'm going to tell you, and this has been an ongoing issue. The information shared is there was a deed in recent years from a prior landowner to himself. We've shared that information with our attorney. We had the initial meeting I had with Mr. Pinkham and 2 other residents was in August and 8th. And by August 12th, I had some information to our attorney, Roger Huber, who's been working on this quite a bit. In fact, called me again today and said he will have some more information to me soon. It is a troubling situation because what's happening here is that in 1903, a plan was recorded, but there's no deed transferring any land to the town in fee. We feel we own land down there. We see a plan that says that there's a right of way there, and it's been thought that that it was the town's to own. But again, no one ever deeded anything to us. In the early 80s, the town conveyed an easement to one of the landowners down there that we've met with. As of this week, we will be getting a copy of that full file given to our attorney, now being referred to as the packet, as to what they found when they researched it then, because right now we can find no true ownership, which gets us into some really convoluted state laws that I hate to tell you were amended in 2021, referring to right-of-ways, public easements, roads, and road abandonment. And depending on how this town's acted, it can change what our ownership rights are. Worst case scenario, and again, I would say extreme case scenario, the town does not own a right-of-way, but there is one there, and it is a recorded plan, which means all the abutters own to the center line of the road, and they cannot prevent access to each other. The bad news is if you're not an abutter to that right-of-way, you have no rights to that access. The abutters could all come together and gate it if they wanted to, in theory. I know this because I experienced this in one of my other communities I managed, where there was a right-of-way that some people gated and the town had no right to prevent it because everybody that was past the gate had a key. I do sympathize with the situation, and the town is trying its hardest to make sure that there's some sort of right where we could allow more access. Parking's a problem. It's a narrow area. There's a lot of streets. You've heard this before. We're not at this stage yet, but at some point these can become truly a civil matter. But what we're trying to do is express some rights and interests that the town owns and can prove. So that's why we've really asked the attorney to be thorough. Can we prove we own the right of way that's on that plan? So far, it's not been the best of news because we've got no answer.
Is this at 0 Orono Landing Road? Like on the GSF, we own it says we own 0.36 acres out there. Is there more?
Yeah, we own land so what's funny is we would actually be in a butter to the right of way we own down there.
Yeah.
So
What do the people want? I mean, are people talking to you one-on-one, or
so I wanted to have a group meeting,
yeah.
but until we can find out our legal interests, we're not going to have that. But eventually, I think what you're going to see is that economic development, EJ, will be meeting with all of them either one-on-one or as a group and saying the best answer here is a collaborative agreement. And if we all agree to it, we can put that in writing and effectuate that legally.
Yeah.
But I want to know what we own first. And then there is a chance the attorney's going to come back and say, I can't prove what you own. That probably puts us in the public easement category, which is simply an easement because there is a plan recorded. But I want an attorney telling me this because it's my job to keep us out of lawsuits. Sometimes not acting can get you into a lawsuit, but I also know in this situation, acting and being wrong could get us in a lawsuit. So I'm really relying on the attorney to give us a strong legal opinion on it. The good news is I think as the unbiased town manager, speaking to 5 landowners, I don't think there's any conflict here. I just don't think they've spoken enough to each other to figure out what has to happen. I think uses and things that are occurring down there are causing disagreements from time to time. But I think if they all got in the room, I think this is actually just a simple agreement that everybody can come to. And I also would say that there's probably some land the town owns down there that we don't need because we have no reason to own it. So we might want to talk about some partnerships with them to say, do you want it? It could create additional parking opportunities for them in theory. Yeah. So, yeah. So that's.
Yeah.
So that's why we're getting this to the point where I think it's going to come together. And I want you to know about it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those unforeseens that doesn't hit a work plane.
Do you want to come up to the mic just so people can hear you again? I'm sorry.
Go to all the presidents and say, hey, let's put some money into this for everybody in there. I don't want to limit it to one person. I just think everybody should be able to access it at any point in time.
Yeah.
My boys grew up there. They're out of the house now. When their friends came I told them, no, you do not block that right away. They used to get mad at me all the time. Just let us drive the car down there. No, because other people in the area could use it. Well, nobody does use it. Tough. They could use it.
Yeah.
Any of my friends, your brother-in-law, you come up, park in my yard. I don't know if you've used it before or not with him, but one of your own council members right there.
So we're working on it.
Jacob's part of the solution, I think, so. yeah.
I am more than willing to negotiate. All I want's enough, just so if my daughter or my wife want to walk down in the summer, I don't use it.
Yep.
Wintertime is more when I use it for snowmobiling and ice fishing.
So it feels like we're gonna get strong legal grounds, and then we're gonna get people together, have a conversation.
Yep.
So that we don't have
I
five
want to be
different
here.
residents from Orono Landing running for the town council next fall because they're all mad about,
I
Yeah.
second that.
Sounds
okay.
like this just kept kicking down the road, kicking
Yep.
down the road. Nobody
mean,
wanted to solve it. Let's solve it. We're all
Yep.
here.
Let's do it, and let's come
I'm-
back to us in a couple months or,
Hopefully sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as Roger gives me it and we really ramped him up, I said, enough's enough.
Yeah.
We need even if you can only come back and say, I don't know, then that's better than nothing. Cause if he doesn't know, it's a
Yeah.
public easement at a minimum.
We
and
met
can
in
go from that
August, I
stand.
think, and then I called in November and said, hey, it's coming up to the time I'm gonna be using it. Can we please get some color? Cause I don't enjoy doing this.
okay. Well, yeah, let's keep at it and let's get a resolution.
And again, if you want my number, you can have my number, email, call me anytime, text me by any means. You can use my yard to unload snowmobiles, just as long as we have an area tax. That's all we care about.
Okay. We're building community here in Orono. I like it. All right. Thank you for coming in, and Clint, thanks for the update. And I know these things are complicated. But I think you got the right approach.
I'll move quicker on the rest.
Okay. Code review by MRI to be included in budget processes.
Yep. So the report's done. I'm going to include it in the packets. It does indicate that we should readjust fees for code, which staff's going to look at. And it does suggest that our staffing is minimal at best to meet the demands of all the ordinances we have. So we're going to kind of come at that. We're not going to be asking for additional staff at this point in the budget for code, but we are moving more towards the code compliance. But again, I'm going to, rather than put this on a council separate agenda item, we're going to move it towards the budget. You will see it as a resource within the budget itself. But it did affirm what we thought. Code is under extreme demand. County budget, if you read the Bangor Daily, you've got it. They did cut approximately $1 million. It's still going to be right around a 16% increase, which could be even more than that for some municipalities in the county and last, but we won't know that until they send out the actual bill. I would say the only thing that I felt was a little bit of an inferred misnomer. There was comments along the lines that not many towns were concerned, that only a few elected officials and a few managers got involved. They invited every manager and every council in a letter that you received in Penobscot County. We all attended. They asked for our input and advice, and we provided it. That's what they had. That's what they got was a letter. There's no dictates. There was no mandates, and their own budget committee suggested significant changes. We'll see where it goes, but they did pass a budget with an awful lot of great recommendations in there. I'll keep you posted as time goes on, but right now it will be a reality for an increase in the annual budget for county taxes. I would estimate about $200,000 of an increase right now
For Orono taxpayers.
for the Orono taxpayers.
Okay.
Yep. So, voting location, Shelley just wanted me to update you. She is continuing to work for the University of Maine. They have put in a request politely to maybe ask the state to reconsider the conflict because so far they have not found a single site that would meet the demands and have ADA accessibility. So the state laws won't allow them to be there. And we
Because
can't
of the
find.
Collins Center, and there may be a candidate on the ballot named Collins.
Yeah, and that's not, so they're looking into that. And so Shelley is doing a great job, but caucusing will start here in a few months and they need to have that figured out by then.
We have the most educated electorate in all of Maine here in Orono, and I figure people ought to be able to go in and vote in the Collins Center knowing that they're not being bought and paid for by,
Well, it's not even the same family is what our understanding is. So it's just coincidence. And I mean, thankfully it's not named Smith.
yeah.
Because then we'd really have a problem if we ever had a Smith
Yeah.
candidate, because there's a lot more of those. But anyway,
I'm sure the university would be willing to consider a gift if it wanted to be the Baker Center, but. All
Sarah?
right, Sarah, do you have something on that?
okay. If you have comments, let me know. Martin Park Little League potential grant, we are beginning to look into this for a state grant that would go in this spring. It would not be funded till next year. We'd have a year to do it. Probably $500,000 We're looking for and that would be a significant match on the town side. But again, it would be a complete reinvention of Marden Park for ball fields, drainage, et cetera. And it seems to be what the majority are asking for. The bad news is the Little League would like to see more improvements this spring. We're going to do a lot. We're meeting with them, sharing what we're doing, but we are not going to be able to get full drainage compliance because it exceeds our current budgets. So that's why the grant seemed to be a good idea. Want to make you aware that application will be on your agendas in the future to
Who do
see.
you apply? Who's the grant through?
It's Maine Parks and Lands.
Okay.
Yeah, so it would become, you'd have to sign it, it would become money that used federal funds, so it's, now you can never stop using it as a park, so there'll be some strings that we'll have to talk to you about. The firehouse, his subs grant, so yeah, the firehouse is actually the brand, I'm sorry, I might plug it in the plug, but the fire department is going in for a grant there for some equipment as well. You will see more on this, but I am required to notify you if they're seeking grants. This is the notification. You still have to approve, accept, and adopt and expend.
It actually is from the company, the Firehouse
This is
Subs.
the firehouse subs.
All right, great.
Firehouse subs. Yeah, that's it. And interpretive plan with Tilly Lasky. I heard from her today. They are working on it. They did have a draft thought due in December. They've had a couple projects they've had to work through. I should see something at least in draft form in the coming weeks. Don't have a definitive timeline when you'll see it for approval, but it is coming soon.
And Clint, that's the Wabanaki interpretive plan. for
Wabanaki
Coit
interpretive.
Museum Solutions. Okay.
Yep. And then Dan, you asked me to bring up bond stuff. So what was it again?
Just sequence wise, right? Like, and I know counselor, we've gotten some emails from a former counselor about just, numbers and
Yep.
timing, and there's concern that tonight's vote to pick a bond advisor.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, tonight was not a vote to
We didn't approve
do
the bond
anything.
tonight.
So you've got a plan in place
Yeah.
that I can now effectuate. We now have an attorney to help write the legal documents necessary so we can go get a new bond rating through our bond advisor. Once we have those bond ratings, the bond advisor will be able to present to us bonding options, which then can go out to bid, and I can give you a definitive schedule. So all of these things are steps we had to take. It wouldn't have had to do the step tonight if Bernstein Shore hadn't stopped doing bond advisor work. We just would have used them. But since they stopped, we had to find someone new. So it did require an extra vote that the public normally wouldn't have had to see at this
Mhm.
point. But everything will be transparent. Everything will be public. I have been asked to do further estimates. I will do no additional estimates because it's just an estimate and conjecture. The next time you see numbers from the town manager's office, they will be the ones provided by the professionals that have to legally document the actual numbers we will implement, not the estimates.
So you didn't say no, you said the numbers will come later
Correct.
from the bond advisor. So you're not
Correct.
telling somebody no, you're telling them.
I could estimate it every week and it could change every week. It's
Yep.
estimates. So until we get this additional information, the estimates we did in December are extremely accurate.
Yeah. And when do you think we will be at a point where we are getting up and dressed to run a public hearing by people? And
I'm thinking 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, 90 days.
And will we go right to public hearing on it, or will we workshop?
No,
it
you
first?
probably, again, depending on calendar workloads, March is a busy month, but I would expect some understanding of a presentation and workshop, followed by a public hearing. And then there's actual official votes you have to take that the attorneys are working on, where you actually have to adopt a bond ordinance.
Okay.
So it's because you're borrowing money, it becomes an ordinance, and that's what the attorneys are drafting.
Okay.
So
Great.
we'll get there.
Does that make sense? 3 months. We'll let anybody ask us. It's going to be a bit still, but
I'll
Okay.
get you a better schedule. Now that we've hired, I can get a firm schedule. That will be step 2 tomorrow morning.
okay.
And that's the end of my manager's.
That was good
report.
stuff. All right. We don't have any public petitions. Any future agenda items or council requests for supporting items? I've got one. Anybody have any? We had someone reached out to us about the Orono Observer. Cody, are you on that? Is that figured out? Okay, so you'll respond back to the constituent. Okay, good. If you're looking for front page content, that picture you took tonight probably wouldn't be bad, but we'll see, see what comes up between now and then. All right. Is there any public comment in the second public comment? Same rules as before? Oh, Andrew, do you have something? I'm sorry.
Just a little update on potlucks. February, we have the Barbershop Quartet Up Tempo and special guests by NFR Maine, a area dog rescue. And we'll be making Valentine cards for area residents. In March, we have the musical stylings of Ira Kramer coming back, and he happens to know some SpongeBob SquarePants. But he's working on some Celtic music. April is open if the council or town want to do anything regarding budget. And in May, we have the library. And then in June, the Orono Food Cupboard is hosting our beach blanket bingo.
So in terms of our help and needs, do you reach out to us directly? And if you need, and I apologize if you expected me at the last one, I wasn't there, but
Yeah, if anybody wants to help with setup, I went up at 2. That seemed to work good because then I could run home and get my
Yeah.
my casserole. Jacob has offered to take March. So if anybody, any help, we'll gladly take that.
okay. Good. And anything else under future agenda items, council requests? Yep. I asked for public comment, nobody rushed up. So, executive session, we're gonna have 2 executive session items. We may come back in and do some business after one of them, right? Yep.
First one, you got something. You should.
Okay. So I'd take a thank you, and those who want to stick around and watch us vote one more time, you're certainly free to do that. But I will take a motion pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 405-6A regarding a personnel matter.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. So we're gonna do it in here. We're gonna move into the right here. Mitch, thanks. Thank you, everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
quick break.
Okay.
They're backwards, Amanda. We just went in on 2614.
Nice to see you too. It's been so long.
Yeah, we gotta go. Sunday, so.
out of executive session. Okay. Okay, the town of Orono is coming out of executive session and ready? Oh,
We good?
welcome back to all the Orono residents who were waiting for us to come back from executive session. We're glad to have you here. We will take a motion on order 2614, order approving a title change promotion. We want to name that, create.
Executive assistant as opposed to administrative assistant.
All right, so we
Yep.
take an order approving the creation of an executive assistant position.
So moved.
Okay. Is there, okay, just Clint, do you want to give us a quick brief for the
Yeah.
public as to what we're doing?
Yeah, just publicly, I mean, the town of Orono always had an executive assistant to the town, or had for many years an executive assistant to the town manager's office. Amanda was hired in that role just over 2 years ago. She's achieved all the training and goals necessary and should be conferred the title of executive assistant, which it was intended at her hire. So I'm bringing it forward. You have to create this title as a job description. That's what I've handed out to you. It's very similar, but there are more administrative functions in this that's commensurate with what she's done in performing her duties. So asking you to approve a job description and title change for
Great.
Amanda.
Okay, any clarifying questions? And we don't have anyone here with us anymore. Anybody, any public comment? Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations. Woo-hoo. All right. Now you
February
have to-
newsletter.
Yeah.
Second.
Yep. Who moved and seconded it?
Go for your next.
Oh, okay. We're gonna go into, I'll take a motion to move into executive session pursuant to one MRSA section 4056A regarding personnel matter.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. And we will not be coming back to do action. We'll just be adjourning. You're welcome to stay tuned